Hello and welcome again to another episode of Battle Ready. Sadness of sadness, it's just me today. Drake is, Drake and his mom and my wife and sisters all went to a family reunion on my wife's side. Sadly, I had to stay home, which means instead of hanging out with my wife's family, I have Skaventide. But it was a sacrifice I was willing to make. But Drake, very bummed that he wasn't going to be here today to pick up the box and be here for the grand opening. He attempted to get out of the family reunion, but it's good for him, and it's good for him to meet cousins and aunts and uncles that some of them he hasn't even met before because they're coming from all over the country. But with that sadness aside, we do have Skaventide. This is the new launch box for 4th edition. 4th edition is up and running. In fact, Drake, before he left, Drake and I played our first game of 4th edition using the indices, and existing models. And so that should be coming up this week. Obviously, very limited experience thus far, but it's been pretty rad. Super good. So first, edition change. The first question is, well, what do we do with our old stuff? We've got tons of battle tomes, core book, cards, all that stuff from the 3rd edition. Well, what Drake and I decided to do was we decided to keep it. And the reason is maybe 4th edition turns out to not be our cup of tea. Maybe it's a great game, but ultimately we start to miss heroic actions and monstrous rampages. And we start to miss some of the more flavorful rules in 3rd edition that are stripped out, at least at this point, right? Maybe as they add battle tomes, those will come back in. But at least at this point, it's a little bit more streamlined. So in that case, we've decided to keep all of our 3rd edition stuff, at least temporarily, right? Maybe a year from now, we'll be neck deep in 4.0, and we'll realize we're never going back. We're never playing 3rd edition again. And then we can get rid of it. But for now, on at least a temporary basis, we're keeping it. And so I didn't know where to store all that stuff. And that's why I got this. So this is the box Skaventide came in. And because Skaventide it's a bigger, heavier box, it's not small. The box that shipped it is also on the bigger side. Now it's not quite big enough to hold the tomes the way that I would like, so I'm going to have to cut it and modify it a little bit. But it does hold everything. So all the tomes, core book, all the War Scroll cards, all the little tokens, and we've got our objective markers. I mean, everything from 3.0 is going to go into this box. And once I sort of cut it down, it'll fit. And that's great because that way we can sort of store it, put it in the corner, not have to worry about it for a year or more, and then we can make a decision if we want to get rid of it or if it's going to come back to the table for us. Because frankly, Drake and I had an absolute blast with 3rd edition. 2nd edition was fun. We only joined at the very tail end, so we didn't have that much of experience with it. We probably started playing in September or October, right before 3rd edition came out. So yeah, it was fine. 3rd edition we had an absolute blast with, and so far 4th edition is looking good. So let's put 3rd edition out of our mind and talk about the Skaventide box. Okay, now that we've said our goodbyes to 3rd, let's talk about 4th. So first things first, since we pre-ordered from a Games Workshop store, we ended up getting this little promo gift. So let's see what this is and if it was worth it. Okay, so now that I've got this open, okay, so we've got 6 objective markers. Let's see here. They're about, they've got a 0 on one side. Well, I lost one. 5 objective markers. They've got a 0 on one side, Skaven symbol on the other. They look good. 40 millimeters. So the only problem with these is that they don't have, you're sort of guessing the middle. And then because models can walk on them, you still have to, you still have to measure around because it's 3 inches outside of these. These are fine. These are cool. I actually prefer the ones that you'll see in our video on Wednesday that are more like the ones that we've been using. They're just clear, so you can get the center on them. and then they're just a whole set. There's a marker for where the 40 millimeter base could go, but since the rules say you can stand on it, right? We haven't felt the need to make 40 millimeter bases for objectives that you can walk around. Since you can stand on it, it's just an area. It's an unusually sized one, right? It's not 6 inches like 3.0, but it's just an area, and that's better. But you know what 6 metal tokens do work well for? Command points, right? Because you're going to get 4. You're going to get 1 if you're the underdog, and you're going to get 1 if you have fewer auxiliaries. So 6 is sort of, at least so far, 6 is sort of the max. This is going to be a perfect amount for that, and I can't wait to use these as cool cool command points. And so one player will get these, and one player will get the 3.0 coins Malleus that we got when we pre-ordered Dominion. So we'll have great metal, fun command points. Looking forward to that. All right, now the contents of this have been spoiled, obviously, but one thing that the store manager, employee, store guy told me is that in the box, the Gryph-hound says it's supposed to be on a 25 mil, but that is incorrect. It's supposed to be on a 32. So he gave us an extra 32 with a little peg spot. So I will be using that when I build a Gryph-hound. But just in case you weren't aware, because I wasn't until he told me, be aware that the base should be a 32 mil base. So you might have to use an extra one that you have, go to Games Workshop and ask for it, whatever it is. But there is that printing error. All right, let's see what's in here. Here we go. All right, well, once again, we've got cool artwork here. Undoubtedly, this will go up in Drake's room. Every one of these that we've gotten, Drake has stolen and framed and put in his room. Stolen's probably too harsh. He has asked for, and I have granted because I think it's super cool. So he's got several of these. So this can go up next to the Orcs ones. Let's see. I like this one because everybody seems mad, like they're in the middle of a battle. And unlike the Dominion one, where there were some orcs sort of chatting in the side, taking a little breather. So that's cool. All right, we've got roughly 1 million sprues here. Tons of bases. Ooh, new prosecutors. I recognize the wings. That's cool. Interesting that they're all in separate sprues. I wonder if this means that these are intended to be sold separately later. Sometimes, well, maybe when I get into it, it'll be a little bit different. But sometimes, they sell in these boxes, Indrasta's on the same sprue as the Knight Vexillor, right? And so you can't really buy Indrasta separate. But it looks like, just eyeballing it, maybe most of these are separate. So that'll be good. All right, so that's cool. I will get to this. We will get these things. I told Drake while he's gone, I will get these all built, and then I'll paint as much of it as I can. And when he comes back, we're going to Hell Crown, we're going to Spearhead, and we're going to do our first 2,000 point, probably all on the same day because he's very excited. And I told him we would do that. All right, but I want to see. Oh, hey, look, there's a second one. I guess I get one too. All right, that's cool. Yes, we have our Hell Crown thing that we can scan in and say how our game did. More bases. All right, now what do we got? Oh, okay. So this is a pretty beefy book. I'm guessing this is the core rule book. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, it's 2 books. So yes, we definitely have the core rulebook and Fire and Jade. So we've got both of these in here. Fantastic. Looking forward to reading this. Now, of course, we have the indexes and the core rules, even including the first battle plan, which is great, are all online for free. So you don't need this book. You don't need to go out and buy this to play. But obviously, this book's going to have a lot more lore. It's going to have a lot of story, setting, stuff like that help you get more immersed in your characters. So that's pretty cool. I'll definitely be looking through that. And then my understanding is the Fire and Jade book is just Spearheads. Idneth Deepkin, Sylvan. Yeah, it just looks like Spearhead forces. So it doesn't look like there's a lot of, oh, maybe a little bit. So each force sort of has 2 paragraphs to sort of set the stage for them. But pretty limited on lore. Oh, and then it's got core rules in the back. So if you're playing Spearhead and you don't want to lug this separate book around, it's all in here. It's good touch. All right. And then we've got one more package here. I'm guessing this is the stuff to play Spearhead. So let's see what we got here. All right. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, so we've got, these are the twists and battle tactics for this, and then the other side is twists and battle tactics. Okay, so these are the Spearhead cards. Standard quality, nice. I could see myself sleeving these because it's a small deck and you'll be shuffling them a lot. Particularly the battle tactic cards if you play them. So I could see myself sleeving, and it looks like they left a little room. I don't know if it's enough room to hold the sleeved card, so there might be a different storage solution. But as it is, this works pretty good, except cards will not go back in. All right, I'll deal with that later. All right, then we've got General's Handbook. This is the card version. Oh, okay, cool. It's got a scoring sheet. I mean, obviously, I don't want to write on this, but hopefully we can put it into Excel and figure out how to make it look good. And then tons of battle plans, along with the battle tactics and the special rules. Cool. What's not in here, though, interestingly enough, is I don't see any cards for the endless spells. That's a little disappointing. Yeah, that's a little disappointing. Let's see what else is in here. Because right now there are no. So maybe those downloads are coming, but I think as of this recording, there aren't downloads for the endless spells, which is a shame because they are now very much a part of the game. This is something that probably should have happened in 2nd edition, where every faction just got a manifestation lore, right? Because that was part of the Necroquake, is they're everywhere and they're all over the place. And then if you wanted to rein them in 3rd edition, you could have cost points for them. Be that as it may, I'm really excited for manifestations. I think it's very cool that they are a part of the game, and I'm excited to see them in use more. Of course, you still have your spell lores, and I think that the way they're doing that now is better, that you pick a lore, and so each turn you can pick from among several spells rather than just be stuck with the one you picked pre-game. Way a million times better. But I really like that manifestations are coming in, because it also makes me, I bought those models, I painted them up early in my hobbying, so they're not fantastic, but they're fine. They're good enough. They look fine on the tabletop, and I want to use them, right? I want to use them. And when they cost points, it was really hard to find the room to bring anything into a list other than, like, if you had 20 extra points, you could bring a Burning Head or something like that. So getting to use more of those is very cool, and I'm excited. All right, and it looks like the last thing in here is, let's see, cardboard. All right, this is the how to build. Oh, and then this is the Spearhead board. So same size as a Warcry board. The objectives are printed on there. All right, cool. So on the whole, this is pretty cool. Like I said, a little bit disappointed about the endless spells not being in here, unless I haven't. Maybe they're in this Spearhead. Maybe they're somewhere, and I just haven't. I haven't read through every page here. But otherwise, little disappointing. But this is by far the coolest launch box. I mean, Dominion was fine. I liked it. I was thrilled to get it, and I thought the models were fantastic. But this, not only are the models looking good And I've been wanting to get into Skaven for a little while, but man, those old sculpts that they sell just did not look good, and I just wasn't willing to spend real dollars on models that looked like that. So now having the Skaven refresh, I'm very interested in. So that was very cool. And then you get everything. You get everything you need for Spearhead with whatever models you have. Everything, and that includes the cards and the board and all that. You get the core book. You get the match play rules if you want to jump right into 2000, 2000 point GHB games. If you are interested in experiencing AOS, then you could do a lot worse than this starter. Now, I get it. If you don't like any of the models, right, then you don't necessarily want to buy the book, buy Spearhead, because I'm sorry, Skaventide, because you can get. I mean, this is a nice book, but you can get the information online for free. You can find. I'm sure they will sell separately the cards and whatnot, so you can get that at a much cheaper price than the Skaventide. So, if you're not interested in the whole shebang, then maybe it's not for you. But if you're like me, you collect Stormcast, you're interested in Skaven, you like the look of the models, you're definitely going to play both Matched Play and Spearhead. And I really like the potential of Spearhead. I think my youngest daughter, she is 8, and she loves games. She's a little young for Age of Sigmar, the big game, but I think a Spearhead, I think she could do it, because we've played little skirmisher games and she's been into it. So I think Spearhead might be something she can do. So if you're like me and you want all that 4.0 has to offer, then this is a great buy. All right, well, I better get to work building and painting these models so that we have something to play when Drake gets home. And this has been another episode of Battle Ready. Thanks so much for watching.